Love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. When Jesus is asked, what is the greatest commandment? He bypasses the 10 commandments as he answers, love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and love your neighbour as much as you love yourself. These 2 commandments stand above all the laws and the words of the prophets. St. Augustine, when talking about these words from Jesus, said, he meant that if we love God, then we will do nothing to hurt or go against him. Jesus begins his commandments with the same words, love. Love God and love your neighbour. So what does Jesus mean by using the word love? The word love has many meanings. In Jesus' times, the Hebrew scriptures identified 4 types of love, which were eros, which was romantic love, storge, which was empathetic love, philia, the love of friendship, and agape, the love of God. We're all familiar with Paul's explanation of love in his letter to the Corinthians, which ends with the words, now faith, hope, and love abide, these 3, but the greatest of these is love. When the King James Bible was being put together, the word love was not used, but rather the word charity. The end of the King James passage reads, and now abideth faith, hope, charity, these 3, but the greatest of these is charity. Charity was used, and there was a lot of debate about it, to express the highest form of love, the agape love, the unconditional, reciprocal love shown between God and his creation, made real in the unselfish love we have of our fellow human beings. In fact, charity was chosen to encompass, I think, all 4 types of love. When we talk about God's love, it is more complex than we perhaps think. The love which God gives to us is that unconditional love, which is a love which we can never truly understand. When we know love, we can then love, and we can learn to love ourselves. And when we can do this, we're counted worthy of the love of God and also of others. God and love, 2 things which go hand in hand, 2 things which are inseparable. For as Paul says, nothing can separate us from the love of God given to us in Jesus Christ. We have to accept that God's ways are not our ways. We cannot therefore presume that we can ever completely know God. I have puzzled over the years about God, not just about who and what God is, but the actual essence of God. I've done this through reading, for personal interest and for study, and also through discussions with both adults and children. I've walked through buildings hundreds of years old and thought about the mystery of God. I've wondered about God while standing in stone circles 6,000 years old, and whilst walking across mountains, beside seas, and under stars millions of years old. I have done this just as I would guess that all of you have, and as most people have from the very beginning of time. Them, you, me, all questioning and all asking, all seeking to understand the mystery of God, the Creator God, the one God, the God of all time and all space, our God. Let me tell you a story that I read about recently which really touched me. Archaeologists excavating a site in Denmark dating back some 7,000 years ago found the remains of a woman who had been buried with a child. The child in death had been laid on a swan's wing. So why was this child placed so carefully and lovingly when it had died on a swan's wing? The answer to that is that we will never really know. But it is thought that perhaps it was because it was believed that the child's spirit would be carried up into the heavens on that wing to join the spirits of those who had gone before. It may be that in this simple ancient grave is contained the love and grief which is love's travelling companion, and perhaps sweeter is the promise carried on the wing of a swan, which points to the hope and love of a Creator God. Our ancestors still have a great deal to teach us, and they should never be underestimated. After all, they are a part of us, just as much as we are a part of them. It is obvious that from the very earliest of times, people have believed and trusted in God, and in a God that they never did or ever could truly understand or fully comprehend. This is the God who in love, in all its complexities, confirmed this love for us. It was confirmed in one troubled place, in one pure man, in one terrible, terrible death, and in one glorious resurrection. This is the love of God which passes all our understanding, a God that we should keep in our hearts and in our minds, remembering that God knows and understands us more fully than we know him, or perhaps more fully than we even know ourselves. Love God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul.